In this class, I am going to explain about function with arguments and no return value. In previous video, I explained about function with arguments with return values. Here, second category of user-defined function is function with arguments and no return value. A function with arguments and no return value in C is a function that takes input from the arguments from the main function and performs some operations using the inputs which is given by the main function, and the user defined function does not return any value to the calling function because the function is defined with no return value. In such function, the return type is always written as a void, so indicating that the user defined function no value is returned to the main function. See, main function gives the arguments to the user defined function, so user defined function is going to execute the values which it got from the main function and produce a result, but result does not return back to the main function. Whenever any function which is not written any value, the return data type is void, and a function does not return the function does not return any value to the main function, the display is done in the user defined function only because the function is not at all not returning the result or value to the main function. Hence, the function display is done in the user defined function only. If any function return the value to the main function, so main function is receive the return value from the user defined function, then it will be printed through the main function only. But in this case, a function user defined function does not return any value, hence output will be displayed from the user defined function only. In this, the function contains arguments but does not return any value. Then the return type of the user defined function is void. Hence, function definition contains arguments. So reading should be done in main function. Here, function definition does not contain return value. Hence, display is done in the called function, that is nothing but a user defined function. So let me explain everything through with the help of example. So every C program start with #include stdio.h. See here, this is a function declaration. So the return data type is what? Void, means the function does not return any value to the main function. That's why return data type is void. This is the function name is called sum. These are the arguments, and the function declaration must be end by the semicolon. So every C program start with the main function. So I am declaring variable A and variable B as integer. Enter two numbers means I am going to enter the value of A is 10, value of B is 20. Now that will be read by the scanf. So 10 will be stored in the variable A and 20 will be stored in the variable B. Simple, I am calling the function here, yes or not? Sum A comma B. This is a calling function. So I am calling the function by passing the parameters A value 10 and B value 20. I am calling the function A value by passing the A value 10, B value 20. So whenever this is executed, so compiler transfers to the user defined function void sum int x comma into y. So here, while I'm calling the function, I am passing the parameters A equal to 10, B equal to 20. So x is going to receive the value of A 10, y is going to receive the value of B 20. Then I'm performing 10 plus 20 30. Now because so the user defined function is void, no, it doesn't return any value. When any function which is does not return any value, so the output is going to print by the display is done in the user defined function. That's why I'm writing printf result. So 30 is going to display onto the screen. Okay, this is nothing but a function with arguments and no return value. No return value because of the function does not return any value. The return data type is void. Return data type is void. Okay, but so this for user defined function, the parameters or arguments passed from the main function because it is a function with arguments, no, function with arguments. So that arguments are going to passed from main function to the user defined function. So these are called as a formal parameters, and A and B value are actual parameters. No, function with argument means I am passing the value of a and 10. So a value 10, b value 20 is going to the user defined function. So execution is done and display is done in the user defined function only because the function does not return any value. For example, any function would return any user defined function which return some value means so display is not done in the user defined function. So after return that the value goes to the main function, so main function is going to display, but in this program, right, a function with arguments no return value, hence display is done here. Okay na? Simple. A function with arguments means main function has to pass the values to the called function or called function. Okay na? A function which does not return any value means the display is done in the user defined function. Okay, so let me execute this. This is a program, so with arguments and no return value, so declaring function because the function need not return, does not return any value, that's why data type return data type is void and sum is a function name, where the arguments are parameters. So reading should be done in the main function because the main function with arguments, no. So this is a function declaration, it is a function declaration, it is a function calling, and this completely function definition. Okay na? So I declare a b values and I'm reading the values from by using printf and scanf, and a equal 10, b equal 20, I'm passing to the, okay na, user defined function. So x equal 10 and y equal 20. So some operation is done and result will be displayed in the user defined function only because it is does not return any value, because the return data type is void. Okay, let me execute this. Enter two numbers 10 and 20, the result is 30. Okay, so thanks for watching, thank you very much.